Alright, hey guys, it's Burt from Soft Tubes, and I'm doing another movie review. Another late review, as it were. This film came out back in middle of February, just like Lego Movie 2. But that was only in the US, not in Australia, so finally getting to see it, and it still technically isn't out here yet. This is one of the annoying things about living in this country. So this is the review for Fighting With My Family, which, first up, I need to say, I am not a follower of the WWE. Pretty much anything I know about it is through either my friends like Chris or the 2K games. Like, that's pretty much it. That's what I know. And I didn't even know this movie was about Paige until about a couple of weeks before I saw it. When I just randomly saw something that mentioned it. So it's like, that's kind of my background going in, but this actually became probably my favorite movie of this year so far, which is a little weird. So I need to start off by saying that for me, this is a biopic done right, and it's crafted in all the ways it probably should be well crafted in, which is a welcome sight after we've had a lot of poorly executed biopics lately. I don't want to name names necessarily, although I probably should. I'm not a massive fan of Bohemian Rhapsody. I think it's a movie that people enjoy, and I know exactly why people enjoy it, or I think I do. But me looking at it and looking at the craft of the film, it wasn't a well-made movie. But it covered those little cracks in the plot and anything else that's happening, or the problems, with things that people enjoy, and in that case it was just the music. And that would have been the thing that this film could have done. So the way this could have been a Bohemian Rhapsody style biopic is anytime the film started to falter, just start playing some wrestling matches. You just pump them over the top. And they're in there, but they're pretty much at like 2 points of the movie. You see wrestling matches. And that is pretty much it for the entire thing. They don't try to keep on covering stuff up because they don't need to. They don't need to keep you engaged by throwing other stuff at you. And that was my problem with Bohemian Rhapsody. You're there because you like Queen, so they just keep throwing Queen music to keep you entertained. And that doesn't make a good movie. It doesn't make a good biopic. And also, like this one, there's a real warmth and positivity about the film, but it doesn't make everything perfect. Like, the problem with Bohemian Rhapsody, again, it's the closest comparison for me. Like, Freddie Mercury was treated as an imperfect person. And it kind of made sense, he was the main. But all the people around him that weren't, like, the asshole producers or whoever, like, there were characters that were like, they're an asshole. Anyone else, that was like the band and stuff like that, they were just like, no, they're good. They're really supportive, they're nice people. It didn't try to give them dimensions. This is like, there are no actual assholes or good people, there's just people. That sometimes they come off as pricks, and other times they're caring individuals, and that's what I really liked in this movie. Like, I think the only time they actually make anything, like, bad guys, is only on in the movie with some characters you never see again. They're in one scene, and I feel that storyline actually gets resolved later in the film with a different set of characters that are meant to inhabit that same characterization, essentially. So you have like it's like this type of person is bad, and then later on a realization of like, no, they're people. They have multiple dimensions, that not everyone's gonna like what you like or be exactly the way you think they should be. That doesn't make them bad people. And even if someone's mean to you about something you like, that doesn't make them a bad person. Makes that one action bad, not them bad as an entirety. And that's a really interesting thing for it to do. And I mean, on the fact that this came out about the same time as like Lego Movie, and now, because I just saw Lego Movie, some of the themes are actually oddly similar. This idea of not everything's going to be perfect, not everything's going to work out the way you want it to, and that's okay. The point is that you work out like, okay, this wasn't meant for me, or this isn't going to work, and you work to improve the things you can. And that's actually a really important message, I think. But I think this one does it a little bit better than Lego Movie did. Where essentially the entire film discusses that idea, where Lego Movie was doing a couple of different things and actually had a different theme wrapped up in all of it. So it only really gives like a song and a couple of other lines to it, that idea. Where this one has a whole movie to kind of discuss it. And, I mean, I actually find this whole thing a really refreshing take on conflict in film. We're in an environment filled with superhero films that paint everything in a like right and wrong. And this film tries to show you that, yeah, there's two sides. There's two sides to everything. And there isn't just bad guys and good guys no matter what. And that's actually really nice to see. Like, these are people. They're just people, and I really freaking like that. And part of the reason I think it works is the acting is pretty good overall. Florence Pugh, I think I'm saying the name right, I don't know. She played Paige, and she was great. And I actually think she had a more difficult role to do because Paige's character for the lot part is meant to be the outcast and also be ostracized and kind of distanced from everything. But then she's going to make the audience watching the film like her and want her to succeed at making the audiences of wrestling like her. And that's a really interesting dynamic she has to kind of like fill in this space. And I think she does it really well. I actually found myself really like rooting for her to do well. I wanted her to succeed, even though I knew she did. There was still a part of like, oh no, I don't know if she'll make it. Like, I really hope she gets there. Which is such a weird thing to have. Biopics have that problem of you kind of know, you probably know the ending when you're seeing it. It's very rare that you'll see one you don't know the ending of. So when you have that, but you still care about the ending, I think that's important. Nick Frost is someone that I love. I really, really love him, and he was one of the greatest people I've ever met in person. He's just a really nice guy that brings warmth and, I want to say humor, and I don't mean humor in jokey, I mean humor in good-natured. He brings that sort of good-natured humor to everything he sort of does. He's extremely likable. Even when he's like, you go like, he should be a prick, I still kind of like him. I think that's really important because he plays Paige's dad in the film, who has a bad past. But you still need to understand him and where he's coming from in every action he takes. And I think he does that. He permeates this warmth in every scene, and I found that I liked him, but then I like Nick Frost, so that might do it. Lena Headey is also pretty damn good in it. She doesn't get a lot to do in the movie. This is a little sad. I feel like they could have done more with her, maybe. I don't know. It's sort of hard to say with a biopic. But later on in the film, she gets scenes to really like sink her teeth into, and I think she does well there. Another one, like one that surprised me, is Vince Vaughn. I haven't seen a lot of Vince Vaughn's films, but I actually really liked him in this. I think this is probably his best performance of anything I've seen him in, which isn't a lot, as I said, but I still really, really liked him in this and want to see him do more of this, where he plays a character that, interestingly, it's like there's always feels like there's more to him below the surface of what he's giving you. And that's cool. I like that. I like that there's always just something else sort of simmering below that you're not quite seeing. And that was really nice to see from him. And also then I got to mention Jack Lowden, who plays Paige's brother Zach, who has a darker path throughout the film as he becomes trapped by his own jealousy and frustrations. And I think he does a pretty good job of that. That's kind of a difficult role to do as well, because you don't want the audience to start hating him, because he does have a bit of a redemption story. So you don't want the audience to not care when he gets that redemption. And I think he does a pretty good job of that. Maybe it could have been better, but it still, for the most part, did pretty good. And I need to say, the film is made by WWE. It's a WWE production from, I think they call it WW Studios, I think is what they call that. And as I said before, like, they could have kept throwing wrestling matches in. That plays into the idea that this should have been more promotional than it actually felt like it was to me. Kind of like Lego Movie. Again, like the first one, where it should have felt like a giant commercial, but it didn't. This is kind of the same. Like, this feels like it's like, oh, okay, it's an ad for the WWE. But it's kind of doesn't feel that way. It's not pushing the WWE, even though everyone's like, this is my dream, I want to join the WWE, like, I want to do this, this is all I want to do since I was 13. Those lines come up a lot. But the movie isn't necessarily saying it's some miracle of existence. They actually do talk about the darker side of people who push themselves too far, of how hard it is. And that it is a business at the bottom of it, and that's not gonna make everyone happy. That they have to make business decisions. It's not this magical Willy Wonka chocolate factory. They have to make decisions based on what makes money, and that's how they choose people. So people who may be really good and really nice just aren't enough to make the cut because they don't have something else. And I find that's really important. It does sort of balance it out. It's still a little bit more pro WWE. Of course, it wasn't going to be like really negative about it, but at least it shows there's a bit of another side there. And I mean, honestly, I can't say why I like this film so much. I just kind of did. I think it's just, it felt very human to me. I kind of cared about the characters. It hit those things for me. It's really weird for me that I like this movie so much. I didn't expect that. And I mean, I'm going to give it a 4.5 out of 5. It might change. Maybe if I see it again, I'll start seeing some flaws. I've only seen it once. I typically try to see movies 2 times before I come to a definite decision. But here, it's kind of... I just really enjoyed my time and found myself really invested. And I think that's really important. Alright, thanks for watching, guys. Again, I was Burt, and this is my review of Fun With My Family. I forgot to mention in the last video of another reason that I've changed my format, is I want to do it a bit more, to make it distinct from my analytical videos, is I want to make it a bit more casual, kind of. So, I used to write full scripts for my last reviews. This time I'm doing a bit more just like points of what I think and just doing it. So there might be a bit disjointed at times. It might not feel like I'm really flowing from one thing to the next because I'm just going off points. But I'm hoping to improve that as I kind of go, and we'll see how this works out. I'm really enjoying doing this. So hopefully you guys enjoy the reviews and actually figuring out whether to see something from it. Like, it'd be nice. Like, I don't think you should necessarily just listen to a review and go, oh, I'm seeing that movie, or I'm not ever seeing that movie. But I think it is important to look at a few reviews and start building an image or an expectation of something before you go in. I think that's really important to do with film watching. Anyway, thanks, guys. If you'd like the review, why don't you hit that like button, and if you've seen the movie and have your own thoughts, why don't just leave them below. And again, I love reading that stuff. So yeah, let me know what you're thinking about this, what you thought of the movie. If there's anything WWE related you think I should probably check out. Like, watching this movie made me want to watch WWE. It did do that for me. So if there's anything that maybe I should check out to see if I'm really interested, like, let me know. That'd be kind of cool. Alright, and also, yeah, hit that subscribe button and you will keep getting all of this goodness. So I will see you guys in the next video. Now, if you saw the first movie, you know what to expect at this point. Lego heroes on an adventure to save the day, and it's juxtaposed with the real-life actions of a family going about creating those adventures, essentially. And it's really just more of that, except this time, like in the last film, it was kind of the big reveal of like,